Hey guys, welcome to the show. I'm Rantoinette. We got a little weekend news roundup here. I have got so many stories that I missed over the weekend. I apologize for not being able to put out any videos in the last couple of days. I had a long weekend. I'm a bartender, so I was working and, got to get paid so I can pay that goddamn rent. But anyway, I just want to congratulate all you who are watching for surviving the rapture that did not happen this week. Did we forget about that? The rapture was supposed to happen on Wednesday. I guess that didn't turn out, I mean, hey, at least we know that Trump is not going to heaven because he's still on earth. We've got a whole lot of right-wing conspiracies going on out there regarding Charlie Kirk's assassination. Some of them are pretty plausible. Some of them are kind of pie in the sky out there, but I've been looking at a couple of videos from gun tubers out there talking about that the shot that came out of his neck wasn't an entrance wound. It was more of an exit wound, and that they suggest that the bullet came from behind, and that's why it came out of his neck that way. And then, of course, there's some other ones out there that are really odd conspiracy theories, like there was a trap door there, and he fell through the trap door, and actually Charlie Kirk is not dead. Or there was another one saying that there's a camera that was behind him, but it's not really a camera, it's a hologram machine. So there's some really out there kind of conspiracies, but the whole bullet coming from behind as opposed to an entrance wound is more likely an exit wound. Also, it's 30-06, the gun that supposedly Tyler Robinson used. That is a really, really super powerful gun, and if he was hit by that, his head would have blown almost clean off, considering how big the bullet is and how much power that particular gun has. So a lot of it is really up in the air. It's really weird. We've got, podcaster turned head of the FBI, Kash Patel, just completely screwing this up, and he's tweeting everything online, which, by the way, is, if this guy is going to be prosecuted, Tyler Robinson, and Tyler Robinson is not cooperating, so we're going on the word of the FBI and the podcaster Kash Patel, but if they actually have to bring this to trial, which very likely that they will, any lawyer worth their salt will say, you have biased the entire country against my client because you're tweeting out all this information. This is stuff that the FBI just doesn't do. So anyway, and also some right-wing podcasters are out there screaming and yelling. One in particular, what's her name? Megyn Kelly. She's screaming and yelling about a curse that was put on Charlie Kirk and his wife, and they're witches on Jezebel. People are fucking nuts, man. I swear to God. America's brain has been completely bricked, but some people are even more bricked than others. The Democrats finally got enough votes to bring the vote to the House floor to release the Epstein files. They had a special election recently. I believe it's in New Mexico. Raul Grijalva, who passed away, they had a special election to fill his seat, and his daughter won that seat by a huge amount, like something like plus 47 points. I think Kamala Harris won it by like 15 points, and this is just outrageous. The number plus 47. It really seems like there is a sea change going on in the Democratic Party, and it is probably helped out by the fact that Donald Trump is just awful. The Trump regime is crazy. Anyway, we'll get into that. Oh, and by the way, the whole over last weekend, they had Charlie Kirk's memorial service, and Charlie Kirk's wife said something that was, actually very Christian. She said that she forgives the person who shot her husband. And then, of course, Donald Trump comes up there. He gets up on stage right after her, and he's like, Charlie Kirk says that, you should just argue with your enemies and you shouldn't hate your enemies. And he goes, no, I just fucking hate them. I hate them so much. Anyway, getting back to that point, the Democrats drop a whole new trove of Epstein documents where Peter Thiel, Steve Bannon, and Elon Musk are in them. And Elon Musk is reported that he actually visited the island, Little St. James Island, Epstein's island. And then, of course, there's that whole thing about Peter Thiel's lover just dying out of the blue. I mean, it's all over the place, Speaking of which, Peter Thiel is yet again another gay Republican who probably will end up suffering at the end of the fascist regime, which, by the way, everybody that was at that rally, memorial service for Charlie Kirk, they were screaming and yelling about going after their enemies, going after the lefts, going after the LGBT community. And if you are a gay Republican and you are still a Republican at this point, you kind of need to have your head examined. Anyway, so with Grijalva, the special election with Grijalva winning, they've got the 218 votes, so they will be bringing this to a floor vote. So we'll see what happens with that. Moving on, we got the UN been happening all this week, and there were there was a bunch of notable speeches. The speech from the Colombian president was pretty notable, where he just basically tore into the entire planet for letting this genocide going on in Gaza, and we should all be ashamed of ourselves, especially in the United States. And I believe it, if I'm not mistaken, it was the president or prime minister of Finland gets up there and says that the United States should not have a veto vote in the UN anymore. Well, nobody should have a veto vote, but the only two countries that ever veto anything in the UN, especially when it comes to Palestine, is the United States and Israel. So anyway, so the two notable people that went up there and spoke were, first, it was Bibi Netanyahu, and it was like hundreds and hundreds of delegates from nearly 180 countries all got up and walked out. It was actually a very impressive video. I'm sure you've probably seen it by now, but soon as Bibi Netanyahu gets up to the podium, everybody fucking walks out. And it's not just them walking out. There was a traffic jam for them to be getting out. It was so many people leaving. It took a long time because everybody is, bottleneck trying to get out the goddamn door. Meanwhile, Netanyahu was standing up there and he looked shook, man. I'm looking at his face and he looks pretty shook. Now, this literally happened last year. A whole bunch of delegates got up and walked out of the room when Netanyahu got up to speak. But this time it was almost everybody. There's a couple of pictures out there floating around where the room is completely empty while Netanyahu is up there giving his insane speech about how we've killed this person and we've killed this person because they're all Hamas and they're all anti-Semitic. Meanwhile, he's wearing like a sticker on his jacket and it's a fucking QR code. A goddamn QR code, and don't scan it. But if somebody did actually scan it, so take a look at it, and it's just nothing but Israeli propaganda. It's insane. And also keeping this in mind too, Israel is also claiming while he was on stage at the podium, Netanyahu, while this was going on, Israel claimed that they hijacked all of the phones of people who had phones in Gaza to play the audio of Netanyahu's speech at the UN, also blasting it over large, loudspeakers, over intercoms at the food sites in southern Gaza. So, I mean, while he's up there giving his propaganda speech, they're literally pushing it on the remaining living people in Gaza, which could be anywhere between 1.5 and 1.7 million people left because they probably killed at least 500,000 at this particular point. Now, this one is kind of scary to me. Pete Hegseth scheduled a meeting with all the generals to come to Washington or somewhere in Alexandria, Northern Virginia. And first of all, this is dangerous. Bringing together all of these people into one place is actually a national security threat. But, we've got B-Team Fox News host Pete Hegseth running the Department of Defense. just me saying that out loud is still fucking insane. A couple of years ago, he threw an axe and hit somebody because he was trying to be all butched up doing an axe throwing contest. That was when he was on Fox News. And now he is running the Department of Defense. Well, turns out, this is what I was afraid of, honestly. It's literally what the Nazis did back in the 30s, where they got together all the generals and were basically asking them for to re-sign a new loyalty test, not just to the country, but to the president. And that is what I've been afraid of, that this is what this is. And Donald Trump also said that he would be in attendance. But this is the quote from Pete Hegseth. He said he wanted to give them a speech to those military officials, the generals and the military officials that they brought to Washington. And he wanted to preach them this warrior ethos and a new vision for the military regarding fitness and grooming standards. That way he can post this later on his social media. What the fuck is this shit, man? I mean, we are living in the influencer, podcaster, Fox News host, oligarchy tour of the Trump regime. This is just insanity. And of course, we don't know what was actually said in the meeting, but it does feel like, hey, we're bringing in all the generals. The president will be there. And Donald Trump, he does love him some loyalty. So, Jesus Christ, man. Oh, and also, this is another thing that Pete Hegseth did. He said that all of the warriors from Wounded Knee are going to keep their medals. And now keep in mind, all these people are dead. And if you don't know anything about Wounded Knee was a fucking slaughter. It was American soldiers gunning down Native Americans who were running away, unarmed, women and children. And they fucking shot them all down. It was a slaughter. A complete and utter slaughter. And people were talking about, hey, we should maybe not honor these people. And Pete Hegseth just gets up there and goes, not only are we going to continue to honor them, but those motherfuckers are going to keep their goddamn medals. What are we doing, folks? Seriously. To go back, I apologize. I wrote this. I mean, look, I've got pages and pages of this shit, but I wanted to get to this as well. While Bibi was in the at the UN, goddamn man, there was thousands and thousands of people out there protesting the hotel or the building where Bibi Netanyahu was actually staying. So there was a shitload of people on the street in New York protesting him being in New York City and in this country. Also, Bibi Netanyahu had to fly from Israel, and they had to take this weird circuitous path with their plane to get to the United States. Normally, they would just fly over Europe. But since Europe and many countries in Europe have already said that they are going to abide by the ICC's, the International Criminal Court's ruling on Bibi Netanyahu being a war criminal, they can't fly over those countries, or else they could ground the plane and then arrest him and take him to The Hague. So instead, he's like flying through the Mediterranean, around Spain, just so he could get into this country, which I just find, infinitely just weird and ironic and kind of funny. But, all of that funny goes out the window when you realize that this guy's modern day fucking Hitler. And to top it off a little bit more with this whole Israel thing, in Italy, the dock workers at Italy had a huge protest, and there has been a lot of backlash on the Italian ruler, the leader. What is her name? God damn it, I can't remember. Apologies. Anyway, the president of Italy, she is a huge right winger. Years and years ago, she was praising Mussolini, for God's sakes. And now she's the president, Meloni. She's the president of Italy right now. And they don't really give she doesn't really give a flying fuck about what's going on in Gaza or Israel. But the dock workers who have been shipping supplies from Italy to Israel, they protested. They said they have had enough. They're done with this shit. So it put pressure on Meloni to actually send out a warship along with a Spanish warship and I believe a Greek warship to run protection for a food and medicine flotilla going to Gaza. So to watch Maloney have to eat her words, and she actually went up there at the podium at the UN and said that Israel has gone too far. And one more extra thing, I don't know how it happened, but Microsoft decided that they were no longer going to allow Netanyahu to use their AI surveillance technology, which they had been using up to this point. So I'm wondering if there was some people inside of Microsoft that, they had like an internal protest or something like that. But Microsoft is no longer allowing Israel to use their technology to surveil Gaza and, of course, the West Bank. So, that old expression, the walls are closing in, well, it didn't mean jack shit for Donald Trump, but it is really happening to Netanyahu. And I couldn't think it happened to a nicer guy, because fuck that guy. Seriously, fuck that guy. Also, Trump went up there, and I'm sure everybody's probably seen this by now, but Donald Trump went up there at the podium at the UN and gave his speech, and all he did was complain about the fact that he didn't get the contract to lay tile at the UN or some shit, and he's bitching and complaining about that escalator, saying that the whoever cut off the escalator, you almost killed me and my wife. It's like an old Mitch Hedberg joke, man. An escalator, what did he say? Something to the effect of, I'm sure y'all correct me in the comments, but he said, an escalator never breaks, it just turns into stairs. And Donald Trump's like, you could have killed my wife. And you got Jesse Waters on Fox News going, you could have killed the most beautiful first lady America's ever had. And Donald Trump is looking over his shoulder going, who stopped the escalator? Turns out it was somebody who was like doing videography for the Trump administration, probably one of those guys that was walking up backwards up the escalator filming, and somebody accidentally hit the button and the escalator stopped. And then Donald Trump is immediately going out there, we should prosecute him, we should go after him. And speaking of Donald Trump, when ABC and Disney brought back Jimmy Kimmel, he puts out this ridiculous fucking bleat on his own Truth Social saying, they told me at ABC they called the White House and they told me they fired him, they got rid of him, but he's back. I'm going to sue Disney, I'm going to sue ABC, I'm going to sue everybody, goddammit, because I don't think it's fair that you allow somebody who's got no talent and not funny at all to get up there and make fun of me. So I'm basically letting the cat out of the bag, because up until that point, Republicans, and everybody in the Republican media had been saying, oh, the reason why Jimmy Kimmel got fired, wasn't because, what he said, which, by the way, he didn't say shit. He didn't say nothing. All he said was that Donald Trump didn't seem like he was that upset about his friend Charlie Kirk dying, because he was too busy talking about his goddamn new ballroom. But everybody in the Republican MAGA sphere that is, on the news or on a podcast is going, oh, he was only fired because of ratings, and, he wasn't making any money for the company. And then Donald Trump comes out there and goes, they fired him because I told him to do it, and goddamn it, they brought him back, so I'm going after him. It's like, Jesus Christ, man. Jesus fucking Christ, what are we doing? Goddamn, man. Goddamn. Moving on. Yeah, oh, by the way, yeah, the Trump, while he was at the UN, all he was doing was screaming and yelling about the escalator and the marble tiles and yada yada this and bitch and complain about that. I'm surprised he didn't bring up the low water volume that comes out of shower heads, and toilets, because he always wants to go back to that thing. But he also said to everybody in the audience, all your countries are hellholes, and the United States is so hot. We're like super hot. Yeah, man, nuclear hot. Nobody wants to fucking touch us with a 10-foot cattle prod. Okay, so catching my breath here. Moving on. If you guys not heard of this woman, her name is Lindsay Halligan. She is another one of Trump's personal lawyers. I believe she is an insurance lawyer. Well, she has been put in charge of going after Jim Comey because Donald Trump's got a grudge against Jim Comey, and Letitia James because he's got a huge, he's got a huge hate boner for Letitia James because she actually prosecuted him and got him convicted of 34 tax cheating, tax avoidance, tax fraud before he became president. I can't believe we elected this motherfucker even after he got convicted of 34 felony counts of tax evasion. But Trump had his own U.S. attorney, I can't remember the guy's name right now, who was investigating both Comey and a whole bunch of people. Comey, Letitia James, Jack Smith, all of the people that Donald Trump has got huge animosity towards for going after him. So now he's going after his political opponents. And that particular U.S. attorney that Trump picked a few months ago had been doing an investigation on Letitia James and Jim Comey. And he's like, hey, I got nothing. I think most of this was Jim Comey, but he's like, I got nothing. I've been digging. I've been looking. We got nothing on Jim Comey. By the way, Jim Comey, old school Republican, not a Democrat, old school Republican. He was the head of the FBI. There is no such thing as a Democratic FBI agent. Law enforcement generally 95% of the time are Republicans. And if you manage to make it to the top of the FBI, you are full on hardcore old school Republican. Yet Donald Trump doesn't like him because he went after him. Why? Because Donald Trump is corrupt as the day is fucking long. Anyway, so that U.S. attorney couldn't find anything, so Donald Trump fires him a couple of months after he hired him. And then he sticks in this Lindsay Halligan, who is an insurance lawyer, and she doesn't have any other lawyers to back her up. So she literally argues this case. And she had like 2 counts that she brought to this indictment, and she only got one of them kind of at a halfway stick, and it kind of goes to that whole point of, you can indict a ham sandwich. Well, apparently she was able to indict half a ham sandwich. So what, just one piece of bread and a slice of cheese? I don't know. But everybody knows that Comey didn't do anything wrong. A whole bunch of other U.S. attorneys have already quit because they're not going to be used to prosecute. So that's why he had to go with this Lindsay Halligan woman. And ultimately, all of this is what Republicans are always screaming about, lawfare. This is literally the lawfare they're talking about. Republicans are like, well, what about all the times that, that Merrick Garland and Jack Smith and Letitia James went after Donald Trump? It's like, well, he committed crimes, man. He got busted and committed crimes. He was literally convicted of crimes. He did grab that woman by the pussy. He did make that fucking phone call to the Attorney General of Georgia telling me to find me 11,780 votes. Find them for me. I don't care. Just find them. He did all of those things. So that's why people were pursuing him in the courtroom using legal means, because he broke the fucking law. Donald Trump is now using lawfare to go after people who haven't done anything wrong just because he's got a fucking grudge against them. Anyway, Jack Smith, watch your back, son, because you're probably next. And by the way, all of this, the reason why Donald Trump was pressing all of this, such a full court press, is because the statute of limitations is about to run out on all of this stuff. And Donald Trump wants to get this done. This is all just petty lawfare. It's just petty because he wants to punish these people for, going after him for his criminality. And he's using legal means by doing it. And he's using his own personal lawyers because he's firing everybody else and nobody else will work for him. Pam Bondi was his personal lawyer. The guy that interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell privately, I might add, and then got her moved to a country club prison. What's that guy's name? Blank, whatever the fuck his name is. He was Donald Trump's personal lawyer. He's the one that lost the 34 counts to Letitia James. For God's sakes, man. Donald Trump is using the law and using his own personal lawyers to do it. Okay, here's a good piece of news. Well, it's not good. I mean, it's just kind of funny. remember when they canceled Jimmy Kimmel and they brought him back, their Sinclair Media, who has like a whole bunch of stations all across the country, they said, we are not going to air Jimmy Kimmel. And it was also Nexstar. Since they are trying to get this merger to go through, and they need Donald Trump's approval to do it, they said they weren't going to air Jimmy Kimmel's show. So that's like 25% of the country did not air Jimmy Kimmel, which, by the way, he has something like over 20 million views on YouTube. Not to mention, like I think it was like 6 or 7 million people watched it live when the night he came back. So it kind of proves the point that people do not like Donald Trump taking away anybody's free speech. And even if you don't even like Jimmy Kimmel, you should not want him to lose his free speech, because if he loses his free speech, then everybody's going to lose his free speech. That's a rich white guy. They're taking away free speech from a rich white guy. What do you think they're going to do with the rest of you? Y'all are just normal, everyday people. He don't give a good goddamn about taking away your free speech. But here's the cute thing. Bob Iger, who is the head of Disney, which is the parent company for ABC, and I am no fan of Bob Iger. I believe Bob Iger was actually at the inauguration for Donald Trump, along with all the other tech bro billionaires and, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and all those guys. They were all there, all of them. Ike Perlmutter, all of the rich, super unbelievably wealthy billionaire class. They were all there, including Bob Iger. But Bob Iger, he threatened Sinclair, who said that they weren't going to air Jimmy Kimmel. Was like, okay, you're not airing Jimmy Kimmel? Well, guess what? We're not going to allow you to air any live sports. And that is a huge moneymaker for Sinclair. I don't know what's going to happen with Nexstar. I haven't heard anything about Nexstar, but Sinclair was like, okay, all right, y'all win. We'll put Jimmy Kimmel back on the air, because they could not lose their live sports. And anyway, I just think that's a nice little bit of schadenfreude, watching that super conservative company, Sinclair Media, just basically tuck their tail between their legs and just, kowtow to Disney and Bob Iger, because they really want their live sports. Okay. This I did not know. I did not know this, but this is blowing my mind. Apparently, there was no autopsy of Charlie Kirk's body. So we don't know that whole, I was talking about it just a few minutes ago, how, there's a lot of Republican gun tubers out there talking about he was shot from behind and that was an exit wound, not an entrance wound. And he was shot in the spine and all of these things. How are we ever going to know if they didn't even do a fucking autopsy on him? The doctor at the hospital signed his certificate of death, and that was the end of it. And then they just buried him. So no autopsy. It's almost like they don't want to solve this whatsoever. They just want to sweep this thing under the rug and use Charlie Kirk as a martyr to push their anti-leftist, anti-liberal propaganda, going after their enemies. And they're using dumbass podcaster Kash Patel to facilitate this shit. But it literally, it just seems like they don't want to solve this. And I remember the very first video that I did on this assassination. The very first thing I said, well, I don't think it was the first thing I said, but it was in the first video that I did about it. I remember saying that it would almost behoove Kash Patel and the Trump administration to never, ever solve this. That way they could just go on the talking points that they already have, blaming the left for it and blaming the trans people and all the liberals out there. They don't need to solve it. They've already got their talking points. They've already got their MAGA base on their side. So they could just live off of that, dine off of that for the rest of their lives. And they would always have their base just immediately assuming that it was a leftist Trantifa Israel, folks. It's coming after you. And to add on top of that, Trump, the martyrdom of Charlie Kirk is in full effect. Trump wants to name a warship the USS Kirk. I kid you not, man. A fucking podcaster who, by the way, every time I've ever seen anybody get up there, especially at the memorial service in Arizona, which, by the way, they broke Grindr again because it was a bunch of Republicans. But anyway, I digress. But I have never heard anybody who's ever talked about Charlie Kirk literally quote him. Anybody that's talking about Charlie Kirk in the positive, talking about how wonderful man he was and how great he was and all the good things that he did and how he was a warrior for free speech and he wasn't doing a propaganda thing whatsoever, I've never heard any of them quote him. Nobody has ever said a Charlie Kirk quote. They just want to memorialize him, make him into a statue. Apparently Donald Trump wants to rename a United States warship the USS Kirk. There's also somebody floated the idea of putting him on a US coin. What are we going to take FDR off the dime and put Charlie Kirk on it? I mean, Jesus Christ, I remember everybody was pitching a bitch about taking Andrew Jackson off the $20 bill and putting, oh, God damn it. Why am I drawing a blank on the woman's name who did the Underground Railroad? Tubman, Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. And everybody lost their mind. Now Donald Trump wants to put Charlie Kirk on a coin. And Florida is saying that they want to rename one of their roads after Charlie Kirk. Everybody seems to be competing on how much they can glaze up Charlie Kirk as a martyr. Whether it's Donald Trump, it's podcasters, it's Fox News hosts, it's governors of states. Everybody is glazing him up because they want to be seen as the one who wants to memorialize Charlie Kirk the most. It's insanity, man. All this is just crazy. Another one here. Russian jets, these jets are called Russian Bears, apparently flew way too close to Alaska airspace. So much so that America had to scramble our own jets because they came too close. And they've been doing this in Europe. They flew over Poland. I think Donald Trump is like, sometimes, you fly a little close. It's just an accident, whatever. But nobody in America seemed to think that that was an accident when Putin flew a little bit too close to Alaska. And, I mean, it's all kinds of shit. Putin is really feeling his oats, especially after the meeting that he had in Alaska with Donald Trump, where Donald Trump basically gave him everything he wanted. He kissed his ass. He praised him. He rolled out the red carpet for him. He let him speak first. He basically just let Putin have the W to go back to Russia and go, Donald Trump is a weak bitch, man. I got this shit. I got this. So he's also using Russian satellites to track American satellites. He's flying drones all over the EU, countries all over the EU, especially countries that Russia or the Soviet Union, the USSR, lost at the end of the Cold War. So he's flying drones all over there. He's really feeling emboldened and feeling his his oats. So, man, Putin yet again, another bad guy, and this is some World War III shit, y'all. Seriously. Let's see here. Oh, okay. So, excuse me. Kash Patel, yet again, awful at his job, should not be the director of the fucking FBI. He's a goddamn podcaster. But we had that shooting at the ICE facility done by, I believe his name is, God, what was his name? Johns or Jans? Something Jans. It's just some misanthropic kid who got on top of a building to shoot at an ICE facility. The side of the building itself says like immigration on it. So it's an immigration ICE facility. And he was shooting indiscriminately at the building. And then he started shooting at a transport van, an unmarked transport van coming in. Did not hit any ICE agents whatsoever. In fact, he kills 3 detainees. And immediately, everybody's losing their mind over this, saying that he is, yet again, Antifa, the leftist, and Kash Patel posted on Twitter, for fuck's sakes, man, you are the FBI director. You have got to stop before the investigation is even just barely got started. And he's automatically taking a picture of this small clip of bullets that was supposedly left behind by the shooter. And he's going online saying that they were engraved by the shooter. And there's a picture of it. It's not engraved. It's written in a fucking ballpoint pen. It's a blue ballpoint pen. It was written on one of the bullets, anti-ice. And then he says, well, see, this obviously he was a lefty and he's of the left and he's a liberal. He's a Democrat. First of all, that is not how Democrats talk. That's not how liberals talk. It's fuck ICE. That's what we say. We don't say anti-ICE. I mean, I am literally picturing him at the facility and somebody's like, well, we haven't figured out what the motive is yet. And then Kash Patel's like, I will show you how to figure out the goddamn motive. Give me them goddamn bullets. Anti-ICE. Take it outside. Take a goddamn picture of it. And then I will post the motherfucker. That's how you get it done. That's how you do propaganda. I mean, I'm just picturing Kash Patel just literally grabbing a blue ballpoint pen and writing anti-ICE on there because he's such a fucking mutt. Oh, my God. And by the way, Ken Klippenstein, he reaches out to a lot of that guy Jan's friends, and he writes up a report, which is actually pretty good. You should check his Substack out. Ken Klippenstein, great reporter. Anyway, he puts out this thing and finds out from all of his friends and his ex-friends that guy Jan's, he is basically just an internet troll. He's a 4chan guy. And he's always doing like rape jokes, and then he keeps losing friends over the last couple of years. Most of, or almost all of his friends have left him. There is an audio video of this guy doing he wanted to try doing stand-up comedy, and you're listening to the audio recording of it, and it just sounds so sad and pathetic and not funny at all, just like a big old complaint fest. And some of his friends even speculated because they heard that recording, and they're like, it almost seems like he's marking his life after, 2019's Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. He's literally turned into the actual Joker. And, it ends with him shooting at an ICE facility, not doing any harm to the ICE people, but killing 3 detainees and then killing himself. Fuck, man. Jesus Christ. And just a little extra piece on top of that. Trump and co. are using this anti-ICE, quote unquote, anti-ICE guy as a justification to go after liberal immigration groups. So groups of people that try to help educate immigrants to say, these are what your rights are. And this is what, you should and should not say. And, this is why you don't open the door unless they actually have a warrant. And those people, Donald Trump is going after them, using this as an excuse to go after them, saying that they are encouraging this anti-government, Antifa-like rhetoric. These are immigration lawyers, basically social workers for immigrants, trying to help them navigate this maze that we call immigration in America. And I've also heard it floated that they are going to be going after that ICE app, that app that tells you, like you can just, you don't sign in. You just kind of go on there and just type in ICE is on 45th and 2nd Avenue. Don't go there if you're an immigrant. You don't have your papers. And they're going to go after that too, saying that that is a doxing app that puts ICE agents in danger. Who is doing the fucking violence? Really? Seriously? They're all criminals and rapists. Except for all the videos we've seen of ICE is just violence personified. Throwing old people down to the ground, beating the shit out of people, masked up, secret police, Gestapo thugs, and me calling them the Gestapo is enough to make somebody like Stephen Miller go, How dare you call us Nazis? That's what Nazis would do. And I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go after you. Look what you made us do. You made us come after you because you kept calling us Nazis. It's like, dude, you want us to stop calling you Nazis? Stop doing Nazi shit. Stop quoting Goebbels in your fucking speech. Stop quoting the March of the Saints, this fucking Nazi propaganda book. Stop quoting that shit. Maybe we'll stop calling you Nazis. But I doubt they're going to stop doing that. Let's see here. Fannie Mae, the housing company. Remember Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac during the housing crisis? Well, Fannie Mae, I saw an article recently saying that either housing needs to crash by 38%. Or Americans' incomes need to increase by 60% just to make housing affordable again. Just to go back to pre-pandemic times. That's how bad the housing market is right now. I mean, when you got Blackstone and BlackRock up there buying up huge swaths of neighborhoods and taking them off the market and renting them back to the people. What do you think that the market's going to do? We are living on top of so many bubbles. The AI bubble, the housing bubble, kicking immigrants out of this country where they used to be able to buy insurance on the open market. They can't do that anymore because they're getting kicked out of the country. And that means that the Affordable Care Act, those prices are going to be going up for all Americans because now we don't have a huge contingent of immigrants paying into it. By the way, immigrants pay into Social Security, but they don't get to take anything out because they're not American citizens. So you're going to be seeing cuts in Social Security. God damn, man. It's fucking doom and gloom, I got to say. And, you know, inflation is going up. Unemployment's going up. I'm seeing a crash coming, and I'm not just talking about like a Great Recession 2008 crash. I'm talking about like a Great Depression kind of crash. You know, bread lines and shit. China is literally eating our lunch. And it's all self-inflicted because Donald Trump is doing this fucking trade war. Screaming and yelling about, you know, we need to put a 50% tariff on Brazil because they decided to prosecute their war criminal in Bolsonaro. Meanwhile, in the United States, we don't prosecute our criminals. We re-elect them. But, and we got Donald Trump talking about we're getting rid of all subsidies for every little bit of green technology and we're going back to coal. Meanwhile, every other country on the planet is moving towards green technology and China is just slaying us with that shit. That is the only market that we should be investing in. We should be throwing tons of money behind research in green technology. And we would be ahead of the game, but instead we're going back to antiquated fucking coal. We're going back to, you know, allowing people to have black lung. I heard Donald Trump the other day talking about you can't be putting vaccines in people where they're putting mercury and aluminum in it. It's like, dude, do you know what's in coal when you burn it? Mercury and fucking aluminum. You moron. Goddamn. More. I don't know how this slipped by me, but I recently saw the video of it. When Donald Trump had a whole bunch of those tech bro billionaires out there, Mark Zuckerberg and Tim Cook of Apple, and all the rest of the bro tech boys, they're all out there. And Mark Zuckerberg promises Donald Trump on camera, because this is all for camera, he promises Donald Trump that he's going to be bringing billions of dollars worth of jobs and business back to the country with his whole AI shenanigans. And then after the meeting was over with, Mark Zuckerberg's mic was still on, and on this hot mic, he just leans over to Donald Trump, Mark Zuckerberg does, and he goes, "Was that okay? Did I do a good job?" And Donald Trump said, "You did a great job," and gave him a little pat on the back. Donald Trump going out there immediately afterwards saying, "We're bringing in $119 trillion worth of new jobs and new business back to this country." He is literally pulling numbers directly from his rectum. And he's using people like Mark Zuckerberg to just get out there and just spin some propaganda. By the way, Mark Zuckerberg was, I don't know if it's still the case, under investigation by the FTC for doing monopoly shit. And I guarantee you that the reason why he, as well as a lot of these other guys, were there, you know, Mark Andreessen and Elon, I don't know if Elon Musk was there that day, but a whole bunch of tech guys, they're out there trying to make sure that their FTC investigations go away. And Mark Zuckerberg had a big one against him. And I guarantee you that's the reason why he was there, to kiss Donald Trump's ass, to give him a little bit of propaganda so Donald Trump could spread his manure's worth of propaganda to his people, talking about the trillions of dollars he's bringing into the country. Meanwhile, he's charging us higher prices in everything due to his fucking tariffs. Well, I only bring that up because recently a Rasmussen poll came out. Now, if you don't know who Rasmussen is, they are literally the most right-wing pollster out there. And Rasmussen released a poll recently saying that Donald Trump has a 49% approval rating and a 49% disapproval rating in the country. And then Donald Trump, which by the way is absolute horseshit. Every other pollster has Donald Trump in the 30s, whether it's 36, 37, 38%. So Rasmussen saying he's got 49% approval is already a big fucking lie. And then Donald Trump goes out there and he says that I saw a poll recently, 57% of America approves of what Trump is doing, talking about himself in the third fucking person. What is it with Republicans always talking about themselves in the third person? And they love the Trump presidency. The man is the most consummate liar I have ever seen in my life. He has told more lies than he has taken breaths. He has told more lies than he's had hot fucking lunches. McDonald's, McFishes. But yet, people still believe him. He's still got his base. I mean, Jesus, man. 2028 cannot come soon enough. Here's a little one for you. Alex Jones decides he wants to troll. Y'all know who Alex Jones is. They're turning the frogs gay, goddammit. Trantifa's out there coming to get me. Meanwhile, let me look at my phone for trans porn. InfoWarriors fame Alex Jones decides he wants to troll the Democrats, and he shaves off his goatee into a Hitler stash. And then he posts a picture of himself saying, I've transferred and I've turned into a Democrat now because Democrats are all Nazis and they love Hitler. Now, first of all, you're telling on yourself, dog. Seriously, you're totally telling on yourself. But the most ironic thing is in the comments, which, by the way, he got ratioed to fucking box on this goddamn thing. And he says, the people that were commenting on this particular post were like, what were they saying? Why are you saying Hitler was left? We are like Hitler. We like Hitler. Hitler was on the right, goddammit. Hitler was based, dog. He was the best, man. Why are you saying he was a left-winger? You should be more like Hitler, Alex Jones. You should. So his own people, his own followers fucking ratioed the shit out of him to defend Adolf Hitler and to basically say to everybody in America, Hitler was a right-winger. Duh. Fucking duh. Meanwhile, you got like people like Steven Crowder out there going, well, he was a national socialist, so he was a socialist, goddammit. Every Republican podcaster always screams and yells about Hitler being a socialist. He wasn't even remotely socialist. He was a full-on right-winger. Fascists are on the right. Communists are on the left. That's just how math works, y'all. Okay. This is a tough one. I'm sure you guys have probably seen this video, and I'm going to do a longer video on this. I just haven't gotten to it yet, but there was an 80-year-old American man. He's not born in America, but he is an American citizen. He's got an accent. I can't remember where he is from, but he owns a car wash, and there is a video of this 80-year-old man getting plowed over by an ICE agent. He's standing there at the door. He's actually about to go outside because ICE is starting to arrest his employees. And he was going to go out there and say, hey, my employees actually have paperwork. We have it here. Let me show it to you. And as he's going for the front door, an ICE agent or a couple ICE agents come busting in like the goddamn Gestapo that they are, all masked up, gunned up, like they're about to invade fucking Fallujah. They barrel into this guy. They knock him to the ground. And then he gets his 80-year-old old man ass up off the ground and still goes outside, and he's yelling at the ICE agents. And the ICE agents are saying stuff like, you know, this is what happens when you fuck with ICE. And he's like, look, I have the paperwork for my employees. Let me get it for you. He goes, fuck you. You're illegal too. And then they threw his ass on the ground. The guy ends up in the goddamn hospital. There's a video of it. I'll have to show it in my longer video later on, but he is all jacked up. He's got bruises all over his body. He's an 80-year-old man and an American. And he ends up in the hospital. Well, this guy is now suing ICE for $50 million. And I hope he wins every fucking penny of it. I hope that more Americans start doing this, because this shit is insane. What Trump and Stephen Miller and what the secret police ICE are doing is absolute insanity. It's full on fascist shit. And people who are injured and hurt, especially if you're an American and you have some kind of power because you are an American citizen, you need to sue these motherfuckers. Sue them into oblivion. I mean, shit. If we're going to be giving them $170 million worth of our tax dollars, I would much rather go to that injured man than see it get spent doing the fascistic shit that they're doing. So anyway, I hope he wins. I hope he gets all 50 million. Even Republicans are not having it with this whole bailing out of Javier Milei and Argentina. I thought this is America first. Donald Trump is America first, but it seems like all we ever do is send weapons to Israel and we bail out Javier Milei. Now, if you're not familiar with the president of Argentina, Javier Milei, he was the guy that gave Elon Musk his big diamond-encrusted chainsaw, where Elon Musk is out there on stage, gacked out of his fucking gourd on whatever the fuck he's taken, and holding up a chainsaw with his sunglasses, thinking he's some kind of cool boy in his leather jacket going, chainsaw! That was given to him by Javier Milei. Javier Milei, when he was running for president a couple years ago, that was his prop du jour, was his chainsaw, because he was going to go in there with his libertarian ass and cut up all government spending. The kind of thing that Elon Musk and Donald Trump want to do here. They want to get rid of every government agency and have it privately owned, privatized by big corporations. I mean, it's people like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and what's that guy's name? Doesn't matter. Just they want this tech feudalism where the government is now run by a CEO. I mean, they tried it first with Donald Trump saying we need a businessman as president, but now we just need a handful of CEOs that run the country, like a business. And I'm not going to get into it. God damn it. Government is not a business. Government is not run for profit. It should be run to be effective, not to be fucking profitable, you fucking libertarian morons. Anyway, Javier Milei, in the last year and a half, almost 2 years of his presidency, has completely bankrupted Argentina. They were already having an unemployment and an inflationary problem before he took office. And then he says he's going to come in there and cut away all social services and all government agencies, which he did, pretty much all of them. And now the country is fucking tanked. They've already got an IMF bailout, which is the International Monetary Fund, which, by the way, the IMF is the United States. I mean, there's a whole bunch of countries involved, but we are the leader of the IMF. Anyway, they already got an IMF bailout, and apparently that's not enough. So now Trump and co. want to put in an extra $20 billion of United States taxpayer money into bailing out Argentina and this libertarian utopia, which has basically made half the country impoverished. Half the country is living in fucking poverty because of this dipshit. And even Republicans are not having it. Chuck Grassley, 92-year-old Chuck Grassley, who I think is going to run again for Senate. Anyway, he goes off on Milei in a tweet saying that why are we giving $20 million to Javier Milei when they are selling soybeans to China? Now, it used to be Americans don't eat soybeans. China uses all of the soybeans. They're pretty much the largest procurer of soybeans. Apparently, they can't grow it in their country, so they get it from us. But in Trump's first term, we put a big old tariff on China. So China's like, okay, fuck it. We're not going to be buying our soybeans from America. We'll start buying them from Brazil. And they never came back. And now China's also buying them from Argentina. And our American farmers who grow soybeans in this country, to 95% of it, to be exported to other countries, for soy sauce and what have you, they're all using the soybean in other countries. We don't use it here. What's good about soybeans is that it helps revitalize the earth so we can grow other stuff. So farmers tend to grow soybeans in the interim between like corn, because if you grow corn for too many seasons, it just basically just strips the soil of any minerals that you need to grow other stuff. So you need to put stuff like soybeans in there to revitalize the earth. And that's one of the reasons why it's so helpful for farmers. And now American farmers are going to need the biggest bailout they've ever gotten. They had to get, I don't remember, it was like a $90 billion bailout in Trump's first term because of the stupid ass tariff that he did on China. Now Donald Trump is doing tariffs on every other country, and nobody's buying soybeans from us anymore. And American farmers are fucking hurting. And even Republican ass old codger Chuck Grassley is going off on Donald Trump about this stuff, saying, what are you doing to the American farmer? And the question that I've got to ask is, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, where are you? Every time I see you on the news, you're up there just giving another reason why you're not going to endorse Zohran Mamdani. Or, we're doing everything we can, to block the new Trump budget. I'll make him a sandwich, but, it looks like they're going to get it through. We don't want to shut down the government. Where are you on this whole farmer thing? You're a fucking Democrat, man. You're supposed to be fighting for working class. These farmers out there, they need you. Why aren't you out there introducing bills, the Save the Farmer Act bill? Where the fuck are you? You're leaving a 90-year-old Chuck Grassley to do your job for you? Jesus Christ, man. God damn. Anyway, apparently we're bailing out Javier Milei and his libertarian utopian hellscape to the tune of $20 billion. I don't know, because reasons? Jesus Christ. Okay. I just saw a video, well, it was a couple days ago, but Trump said in the Oval Office that he said that he will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. He says, I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. I won't allow it. It's been enough. It's time to stop now. And before you get really excited about a Republican president actually standing up and telling Bibi Netanyahu that his time is up and, to cut it the fuck out, just know it's already happening. It's already over. Israel has not just already started to annex the West Bank. They have kidnapped over 1,000 Palestinians living in the West Bank. By the way, they're not Hamas. That's the Palestinian Authority runs West Bank. Hamas is Gaza. Palestinian Authority is West Bank. So you can't say that that's Hamas. Anyway, they have already kidnapped over 1,000 Palestinians, and they're holding them as hostages. Settlers, there's video all over the place of settlers snatching people out of their homes, armed to the teeth with weapons that the IDF gave them, beating the shit out of these people that lived in their homes in the West Bank so settlers can take over the spot. It's already happening. And there's also, they've already cut off this one particular section of the West Bank that was attached to Jerusalem. And they have completely cut that off. So now the West Bank is completely cut off from Jerusalem. There is no eastern pass to get to Jerusalem, which is part of their Holy Land as well. So they've already been cut off. They've already been annexed. Their settlers are already there. They're already taking Palestinians hostages. And Donald Trump is like, I'm not going to allow it to happen. Dude, rumple fucking dipshit Donald Trump skin. Rumple fucking orange skin. That's better. You been asleep this whole goddamn time? This shit is happening right now on your fucking watch. You will not allow it to happen. And let's not forget the $120 million that Miriam Adelson gave Donald Trump on the proviso that they allow Israel to take the West Bank. So Donald Trump knew this shit was going to happen anyway. Him standing in the Oval Office talking, well, it's not standing because he's an old fuck with cankles. He's sitting at his goddamn desk talking about, I'm not going to allow it to happen. It's like, dude, it's too late. It's already over with. It's already over with. I got a little bit of good news here to end it on. I want to make sure before I get to that, I just want to make sure that I got everything because I had so many pages here. I just didn't want to wanted to make sure I wasn't skipping anything. Yep, I did that. Apparently, yep. Sorry, apologies. Just going through it. Hold on. Yep, got that one too. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so this is the last one. Shoikat Chakrabarti, who was one of the original founders for the Justice Democrats. And if you're not familiar with him or the Justice Democrats, they're basically the group that gave us AOC, gave us Rashida Tlaib, gave us Ilhan Omar. All of the OG Justice Democrats, that was Shoikat Chakrabarti. You know, him and I believe it was Kyle Kalinske, it was Cenk Uygur, and a couple of other people. They're the ones that put that project together, which, by the way, they were kind of a little early on. The 2016, I believe they started it in 2016 after Donald Trump's election, and AOC won in 2018. So there was a little bit of thirst for a more leftist liberal to run, and that's why those handful of Justice Democrats won. Well, now it is changing. I think that the Justice Democrats, if they were introduced right now, they'd be blowing up. It would be huge. It would be ginormous because you're already starting to see it. It's not just Zohran Mamdani here in New York City. It's the guy Graham Plattner in Maine. It's Grijalva's daughter winning 47 points in New Mexico. Things are changing. Things are moving at a pretty rapid pace. And Shoikat is running against Nancy Pelosi. Now, not 100% sure if Nancy Pelosi is actually even going to run for re-election this time, but Shoikat is running against Nancy Pelosi, or at least for her seat in San Francisco. And the polling is off the hook. Nancy Pelosi right now is at like 40, I think it's like 47 points. And Shoikat is at like 36 points. So he's got some work to do. He's a little bit behind. But as soon as you poll people, and without just using their name, but actually talking about the policies, Shoikat is beating her by like double digits. All you have to do is just ask registered voters policy questions about Shoikat and about Nancy Pelosi, and Shoikat wins by over 10 points. It would be a landslide. So I just want to give you guys a little bit of hope. It's not just, crazy fascists out there. this is accelerating, and I don't want to be an accelerationist. And I'm not saying that this is all going to happen, but I am saying that the Democratic voting base is done with Chuck Schumer. They're done with Hakeem Jeffries. They want people like Zoran. They want Graham Plattner. They want Shoykot. They want fighters. They are tired of this status quo liberal group. Joe Biden was basically the defender of the corporatocracy. Donald Trump is the defender of the oligarchy. So we are having, in 2024 election was basically a fight between major capitalist and oligarchic capitalist. There is no social program in there whatsoever in the 2024 election. And we are seeing a huge shift. People on the street protesting, seeing why moms out there talking about free Luigi. We are seeing, I'm not saying that that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying that just regular old bog standard liberals out there are going full tilt leftist. They want to see not just our social programs come back and women's health care come back, including abortion rights come back. They want Medicare for all. They want higher wages. They want to end these wars. They want to end the oligarchy. They want the wealthy, the billionaire class to get taxed into fucking oblivion. The left is on the rise. It's not just liberals now. It's not just the Obama, Joe Biden kind of centrist-y, kind of slightly lean left kind of, Democratic politician. We want fighters. We want winners. We want somebody who's actually going to do something for their people as opposed to saying, hey, this is somebody to vote against, vote for me. The James Carville, hey, just go to sleep and allow Donald Trump to hang himself. And then when it's all over with and the country's completely destroyed, you can stand on the rubble and say, hey, vote for me. We're not Trump. We're done with that shit. Democrats are done with that shit. Democratic voters are done with that shit. People are hitting the streets in the thousands and we're over it. And, with every special election that's gone by, especially when it comes to the people that are actually on the real left, the wins are huge. So I don't want to give you all doom and gloom. I just wanted to make sure that you guys had a little bit of positivity at the end there because we need it. We need it for our souls. And if you're listening to this, then you're probably on my side as a lefty and you agree with increasing social safety net, increasing the minimum wage, increasing, people's rights, human rights, women's right to abortion, immigrant rights. We don't feel like immigrants are bad people. They're actually good people, and they're good for society, and they're good for the economy. And we need to stop all this fascism shit. So hopefully, Donald Trump doesn't use the military generals to put all the military boots on the ground for the 2026 election. Republicans are definitely scared because they know it's not looking good for them in the 2026 election. So that's one thing that I do worry about. But I do know that there are a lot more Democrats on the street fighting, making their voices heard, going to protest, bringing the signs, screaming and yelling at corporate owners like Bob Iger to bring Jimmy Kimmel back. Hopefully they will use that kind of, group passion to save all of democracy for the rest of us. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I'm going to put this out. It'll probably come out on Monday morning. So I hope that you guys have a really nice week coming up. And I will start getting back into doing like single videos. Just apologies for taking such a long goddamn time. I have no idea how long this video is. I'm sure it's probably over an hour by now, but I really appreciate you watching. Thank you for sticking around if you stuck around to this point. And if you did, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out in the algorithm. And use my catchphrase, I will sing your praises and I will dance at your wedding. But only if I get cake. All right, y'all. Have a good day. I'll talk to you next time. You take care. Bye-bye. Hey, guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe. Keep rocking.